Hi, my name is Tammy. I am going to review how to create a positive pay export format using the data exchange definitions in Business Central. My name is Tammy Patton. I am a D365 Business Central consultant. I work at Innovate. I've been doing this for a long time. This is something that's just changed recently in the Business Central system, and I thought I'd share the changes with you. One of the things we're going to be doing, just to kind of give you an overview, is we're going to be creating a data exchange framework, or we're going to use an existing data exchange framework. The framework kind of holds the data. Just to let you know, I'm not going to get real technical on this. There's an import format that's got 5 tables and an export format that's got multiple tables. We're going to do a positive pay and use the existing framework that exists, format it the way we need it to. Some common ways that you can use your data exchange are doing positive pay, which I'll go through today, electronic funds transfer, your EFT and ACH, and also your bank rec import. Even the automatic bank rec formatting that you do, in the bank rec screen is linked. It creates a data exchange definition for you, which can be tweaked. I'll probably do another thing on that. So I'm going into the data exchange definitions screen first. In this screen, there are a bunch of standard data exchange definitions. My first word of advice is let's not recreate the wheel and start from scratch. If you're doing a positive pay, look at the existing positive pay files, export them, rename them, and then import them. I'm going to show you how to do it. Usually I export them, I'll open them in Notepad, and then I'll give it a new name, and then I'll import it. And that's the one that I'll make my changes to. I'm going to go through some of the tips and tricks for doing positive pay using transformations. First thing I want to do is you are going to have either a document from the bank that your customer has provided for you, or you're going to have a current positive pay file that they're currently using today. You need to get a hold of that first off, and that way that's how we're going to be able to identify everything that you're going to need. So for example, this is one that I have from a customer. This is giving me my check number, which I believe is 10 characters. I could be wrong. Brings in my amount. You can see there's leading zeros. This is a date. Notice this field is left justified. There's going to be your account number. There's also a void indicator column and then a payee name. Most positive pay files will have all of these fields in them in some way, shape, or form. Some may not have the account number in them, but all will have at least a check number, amount, date, and often a void indicator. So how you would get started is you would go to your data exchange definition screen, and within that, in this example on this screen, I've got the Citibank positive pay format here. There's a general section. A couple things I just wanted to point out if I do show more in the general section. That this particular one happens to be fixed text. This can be adjusted in here. As I look down here, these are those 5 tables that I pointed out in one of the first screens that we went over. And we're just going to leave those as the default for today. So the top section is the general section. The second section is the line definition section, and that gives you high level how many columns are in the detail, the footer, and the header. It should be header, detail, and footer, but it's not. Within the line definition section, you can actually click on Manage, and you can get into your field mappings where you're going to need to map all of your field numbers. There's even transformation rules that you may have to create or utilize. The example of a transformation rule might be that the value that you need for the void indicator maybe it's an X or a C or something. In BC, a void check is stored as a V and a payment is stored as an O. So in this example, I just wanted to say, well, what if I needed to put an X instead of a V in here? It's pretty easy to do. So I go into my line definition, highlight where I needed to make that change. In this case, I go to field mapping and, on my detail line, and I'm going to actually create a transformation rule. When I come in here, I'm assigning in a code, bank update O to C, whatever your rule is. In this case, I am doing a replace. And I put 0 and C. An outstanding check is maybe just called a C or something like that. Whatever your values are, then in the lower level, you can actually enter the value and then click on update, and it's going to give you the result. So if normally there was an O there, it's going to put a C in there. You can also nest transformation rules in the top area here, there's next transformation rule. So sometimes if you need to remove commas out of a vendor name and periods and hyphenations or something like that out of a vendor name, that's possible too. That might be an example of where you might have multiple transformation rules. Going back to our column definitions, our data exchange definitions, the last section is the column definitions. Make sure that you expand this. On some laptops, people don't realize that this is an actual screen. So you need to expand this based on the item that you have, the line that you have highlighted in the section above. It's going to display what you've got in here. This is where on your bank account numbers, notice you can have constants in here. Some of the things you're going to set your length. So for example, your account number might be 10 characters and padding text is required. The padding character is a 0 and it's going to be right justified. You can also set blank spaces in here. My void check indicator, all this information. One thing that's really important is in your date format. I've had to deal with this a couple times and I learned the hard way that if you're in North America, your date format is you're going to want to set it to capital M/DD/YYYY. If you do MMDDYYYY, it doesn't work. So that's going to be a key for you. Let me show you the data exchange definitions. I'm in my Cronus company for Business Central. I'm going to go to my data exchange definitions. I can locate it in my Tell Me box here by clicking on this and typing in my data exchange definitions. Or I can click on my hamburger menu. I can come in here and go to my system administration. And within system administration, if you go to data, my data exchange definition is here as well. It's not right or wrong. You can get there any way you want. What I want to do first is I'm going to take one of my formats that I have in my test system. In this case, I'm going to take the Citibank Positive Pay format just to show you. This is I want to point out I've got the general area at the top. I can show more and it tells me all my table names here. I've got my line definitions here. Now my column definitions, I'm actually have to hit this button, and a lot of people miss the column definitions and they get lost. So these are my column definitions. Right now, my detail line is in focus. If my footer line is in focus, my column definitions are going to be regarding my footer line in the bottom here. In this case, maybe I've tested my Citibank Positive Pay file and it's not quite the way that we need it to be. One of the things that you want to do is you'll want to export your data exchange definition. Then I'm actually going to open this file in Notepad. Notepad. It's going to bring this up right here. The name of this is Citibank Positive PP. I'm going to just name this to whatever you would name this, whatever naming format that you want. If this was a different bank, or you could name it by account number. I'm just calling this my test positive pay. I'm going to save this. Then I'm going to import. Then if I go back to my main page, I can actually import my data exchange definition that I just created and renamed right here. And you'll see that this one is right here. It's called My Test PP. So I can this way, when Microsoft comes out with any updates, it's not going to affect it. In my example that I have, make my screen a little larger. I only have a detail line, which is not uncommon. I don't have a header or a footer line. So in this case, I'm just going to come here and I'm just going to delete my header and my footer. When I delete that, it also took care of everything in my column definitions. In here, I have 10 columns. I can adjust this to however many columns that I actually have in this file. You can see that in this example that we even have blank spaces in here. If I go into my detail line, I'm going to click on Manage and I'm going to go to Field Mapping. In this screen, On the left side of the screen, it identifies the field mapping that I identified in that column definition, or that are currently identified in that column definition below. On the right side, you're going to match these based on these tables from above. So for example, if I look at my fields, these are all of the fields that I've got listed down below. If I wanted to add another field in my column definitions in the prior screen below, I can renumber them. I can adjust their order, whatever it is that I need in terms of the output that I'm doing. So this is actually, I assign this over here, and these are the fields in that data exchange definition. So these are the fields that I can select from, and I just select which field it matches. So for example, on this one here, and it's already matched properly, but this was the account number, and this is matching to the account number. If I want the account number to be field 1, I have to come back in here and I can make my account number field 1. So to do that, I already have a field 1, so I'm just going to temporarily make this field 10. Oh, sorry, you know what I have to do? Let me refresh this. I have to change my column count temporarily. Let me change this to 11. Then my record number I can change to 11, and it's just going to update that. Then my account number I maybe want as number 1. So now I've actually moved my account number to the first field, and maybe my record type I want as the third field. Then I'm going to come back and adjust my column number. If I come back into Manage Field Mapping, I'm going to see that my account number, which is column 1 now, it still maps to the account number. The second field, and then all the other fields might be hard-coded. They could have hard-coded information. These are the only ones that are actually getting mapped based on these tables. The next is column 5, which is my void check indicator. From here, if I wanted to create a transformation rule, so for example, if I know that Business Central stores it as an O and I wanted it as a C, or I wanted a void to show up as an X, I'm going to click on my transformation rule. I can click on New. I can say V to X, set void check to X. My transformation type is going to be a replace. My transformation value is I'm going to take any V and I'm going to replace it with an X. I can test this down here. So if I put in a V down here, I want to check the update. So if there's a V in there, it's now going to export with an X. And I check that just by selecting an update. If I have an O in here, the result is going to keep it as an O for an outstanding check. So that's the transformation rule that I want. And I'm actually set that transformation rule in my field mapping. When I exit from here, when it gets to this field, it's going to use that transformation rule. So when you export your positive pay. This is pretty much all that's involved with setting it up. It does take a lot of testing. So make sure that you've got a little bit of time, making sure everything is correct. To assign your bank account to your Positive Pay format, you come in here, Positive Pay export format. It's done right here. You might have to create a new one. You're going to give it whatever name that you want it to be. Export Positive Pay, and over here, you're then going to select your Positive Pay export here. So now I can select this. In order to run this, to run your Positive Pay, you actually come here to your bank account card and you click on Process and you go to Positive Pay Export. And this is going to, you have a couple of options here. You can set your upload date. When I do Positive Pays, I tend to void and redo checks and stuff like that. Definitely make sure that you test void checks as well as regular checks. Sometimes you will have electronic payments mixed up in here if you're using electronic payments. So you'll definitely need to make sure that you might have to select computer check only. You can enter your dates as needed. That's it for Positive Pay. Hope this helps. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Again, my name is Tammy and I'm with Innovate. Thank you.